All right, welcome to Mundelein Minute. It's episode something up in the screen corner, and my name's Eric Schwenk. I'm a trustee in the Village of Mundelein, and who are you?
I am Kara Lambert, also a trustee in the Village of Mundelein.
Nailed it.
Nailed it.
And it's my camera, house, microphones, no taxpayer dollars.
I'm just looking at this giant toolbox.
That is a toolbox in my office, yep. No taxpayer dollars in the creation or distribution of the podcast. And hey, we remembered all that, even though it's been a long time.
Good job.
So we're back with a recap of last night's
recap.
Yep, super important recap of the committee of the whole and the village board meeting. And
this is one of two insanely important meetings.
yes, and I half lost a bet last night. I was talking to a family member who asked, what was on the agenda for the night, and I said the tax levy, and I said that that there would likely be nobody to speak during public commentary. So I'm going to say I half lost because
no one spoke.
Nobody spoke.
But there was people there.
We did have 3 people in the audience, which was nice to see that there was people that came out to watch. That's great. And there was also some people that we heard from that were watching online. So that's cool.
Yeah. We got a few texts. Yeah.
Yep. So it's a very important meeting because this is where we set the tax levy.
So government is dumb and does the levy before their budget, which I think is insane, but
okay,
tis government.
Tis government, right?
So
and so we I always have to say this: we levy dollar amounts.
I was just about to say that, yeah.
We levy the dollar amounts, and that comes out to a percentage, or there's a weird way of saying like a 1.33 per $1,000 of estimated value of the home. And we have so many different ways that we could talk about taxes and
rate. And I hate talking about it in rates because you don't levy a rate.
It
drives
misleading.
Me bonkers.
It's very misleading.
Yes.
We watched the school referendum, and the school was talking more rates than they were dollars, and their charts were talking about how Mundelein's is half of what Zion Benton was rates were, and how much better they were because of that, and really they're levying roughly the same amount of dollars, but Zion Benton's EAVs are half of what Mundelein, so they have to do it at a higher rate.
So we try to not talk. We and
correct.
You have made the change of
we talk dollars,
and also like EAV of a $300,000 house, not a $250,000 house, because let's face it, that's not reality anymore. So like we try to make this like as transparent as possible.
Yep.
And speak it in the most simple terms possible, not because like we think that our constituents don't understand, but so that we understand.
Correct.
And so it makes sense.
Yeah. The good old keep it simple, stupid.
Yes.
Yeah.
And speak in vernacular that you and I speak of. You don't speak in rates about your house's value, or like, you don't talk about that. You talk about like the dollars, and you don't talk about
correct.
Your tax bill in the rate. You talk about my tax bill is, whatever. I don't even know, $8,000, $10,000, not, the rate. So
Correct.
Anyways.
Okay.
End of rant.
End of rant.
Rant 1.
So the meeting was, it's our annual meeting. We do this every year. Staff brings us some options. Usually it starts out with 10 to 12 different options that staff goes through, and I'll meet with them. The mayor will meet with them.
You meet with them because you're the head of the finance committee.
Correct.
Yes.
And we'll discuss some of the options, and then we figure out what to bring to the board that we think are viable options that the board would consider, knowing that the board could go none of these and do this instead.
Which I did last year, and I think
correct.
that's actually what happened. Is I said...
Yep, we made some changes
yes.
on the fly.
And it worked, and that's what we used, I think. Maybe I'm delusional, but I think that's what
happened.
That's
correct.
So
there's, the board always has a final say, if you will. It's not just what staff brings and staff recommends, but that's generally how the process works.
Which is pretty... I asked last night a question about like standard practice, and I think we just utilize standard practice across the board. We're not unique or special. We just follow
we follow the accepted practices, right? And that came up in a conversation about how much tax money that we levy that we don't actually get in, and that's about 3%. But 3% of $16.5 million is a lot of money.
Yeah.
So that's something that we have to account for. So staff brought us three options last night. One option was do absolutely nothing, levy the same amount of dollars, and that would result in $1 less on people's tax bills.
And the rate tanks.
The rate goes way
really
down,
low.
but that's just a percentage number.
So that terrifies me, because, for example, and I don't see the future or whatever, but next year if our EAVs go down, all of a sudden we're gonna have to increase the rate a lot, and that looks terrifying, right?
Correct.
The perception of that is, oh, you're raising taxes a ton. Well, not really. You're still levying the same amount of dollars, but your rate is now going up, and that's scary for people to see. So that option, I was like, ugh, that doesn't set us up for success in the future.
Correct. There was another option that we would pass on what the state actuaries recommended for.
We should probably rewind.
I'll get there.
Are you
gonna? For pension
we obviously
obligations.
rehearsed this a lot.
Right. So we have state mandated pension obligations that we have to meet in the next
2040.
2040.
What is that? 15 years. Yeah. 16 years.
16 years. So we have to meet a certain number to 100% fulfill those pension obligations. And the state has set out, okay, this is how the market performed last year, and this is what your contribution is going to be this year. And historically, the board has always passed that along as a separate line item on the tax bill. So it's not the corporate amount that we use for budgeting. It's a whole separate line item just for pensions. And yes. Previous boards years ago made that decision, and I thank them for that.
Right, because we talked about this last year. Mm-hmm. This is obligated money that we made a commitment to previous employees, previous public servants, that we would pay them their retirement. And correct. So you said it last night, like
previous promises,
and who are we to go back on previous boards' promises of paying correct. Their employees, essentially? So
that option was several $100,000 more in property taxes, which on the average, I say with quotes, $300,000 home in Mundelein is about a $40 increase in property taxes next year. As you pointed out, about $3 a month.
Yes, $333.
You did the math.
I just used my calculator.
Amazing.
But then, so you just put air quotes around $300,000 average. That number is not that far off. I did a quick Google search last night in the meeting because I was like, are we again not using the right numbers? Mm-hmm. And we're pretty close.
And you even pointed out that there was $430,000 was the asking price.
Oh, when I lied to you. Yeah.
And then you noted that the sales price was like closer to 350, 360.
Yeah.
So we're seeing some of that market correction from what things were super high last year with a 10% increase in EAVs.
Right.
And we're going to see some of that, I think, come down as the market's kind of correcting.
Cool off.
Yeah, definitely cooling off there. So then there was the third option. The third option gave staff a little bit more money in the corporate fund, a couple more $100,000 there to deal with some of the inflationary costs and also just some costs of goods and employees. And we have labor unions and contractual pay rates that we have to pay. Right. And we're going to pay those increases no matter what.
We have to. It's right. In a contract. Right. Again, you cannot get away from it.
And we're going to pay those employees and those increases, but we have to find that money either in a budget that has no room, or we have to go to the taxpayer to do that. So that was
we're kind of doing a little bit of both. Mm-hmm. Because it's not like we're exorbitantly padding our budget.
Correct. and that additional was about $25 extra, $26 extra per year on the property tax bill. So it would go from zero -1 if we did nothing, $40 if we just asked for the pension obligation to be passed on, or about $65, $66.
$66. This is like $5
if we went with staff's recommendation.
Correct.
So ultimately, that's where the board landed.
Which is, I think, the first year that's happened.
Yeah, we've kind of
pushed back,
massaged those numbers a bit over the years.
Yeah.
And we also recognize that, consumer spending is changing, that sales tax revenues are down. cannabis revenue is
Way down.
considerably lower than we would
That's a market that is
like.
saturating, right?
Yeah,
Like,
and it's something that we knew when we approved cannabis that the first few years would be very beneficial. COVID
thank God,
actually,
because that's how we survived COVID.
and COVID was helpful in that to a point because the state paused licensing, so we got to maintain a top position there for revenue. But as the state has approved more licenses,
I mean, you can look around you
dispensaries
and
are,
see them.
yeah,
Where
a dime a dozen now.
yep.
So that's definitely changing our tax revenue, and it's a bummer to see, but yeah,
Things are tight.
it's down
Things are getting gonna
seven
get tight.
hundred thousand this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was the committee of the whole. There was discussion amongst the trustees about which options they preferred. I was torn between just passing on the pension obligation and then the additional percentage. After listening to other trustees, I ultimately decided to go with option one, which was the $66 a year option, and there was quite some discussion.
Yeah, I mean, I guess this is the first. I said this last night. This was the first year that we have gone with staff's recommendation. Usually, like, I nitpick the numbers and I'm like, what about if we did this and this? And I'm, like, ask for a multitude of scenarios. Sorry, staff. I know I'm annoying. Trustee Meyer said that she wasn't comfortable with any of the options, but didn't give what she wanted to do. So ultimately, it left those three options on the table, and option one ended up passing. I just think that we this is the first year that we've, I think, made an increase to our corporate fund.
I think we made a small one last year. I'd have to go
I
back
mean,
and look at the
again,
numbers,
this isn't
but
huge though. Like, we're not adding like millions to the corporate fund.
no,
I
no.
think it's $400,000 or something, rather minute. So, and no one takes this lightly. We talk about hemming and hawing at meetings and debating ahead of time, and you talk to the other trustees before these meetings to kind of like give them the scenarios that could happen, or
Mm-hmm.
out of those 12, you and staff are transparent of what they could be. I think we're always prepared going into these meetings. So it's never something that we take lightly, or for granted that we're raising, taxes.
Right. Correct.
However small the amount is, you're still doing it. You're a single income household, so are we. And, like, if anyone feels it, we're feeling it, right? Like, we feel that too as citizens, as residents. So no one wants to do it. But if you want government to operate, like, you want somebody to answer your phone when you call 911, or you need clean water to your house, or at the end of the day, that's what municipal government does: clean water, safe streets,
Essential services.
essential services. And I don't ever want to set a future board up for a situation where they have to cut essential services.
Correct.
So here we are.
Yeah. So that was the property tax discussion. And then we'll jump into the village board meeting.
Which feels better than this.
Yeah.
Okay.
It was a lot lighter
Yeah.
of a discussion throughout that. So we started right on time, approved minutes, and no public commentary in either of the meetings, and no presentations or awards, no public hearings. The mayor's report actually had nothing in it, and he only spoke about leaf pickup. It was kind of like it was.
I feel like he jinxed us, though, and I'm
meeting.
so nervous about this as a result. Like, it's going to snow today or something and screw up everything.
Shh, don't say the S word.
But, like, leaf pickup is going well. I actually, when I was driving over here, the leaf truck was in my neighborhood. So I was like, oh,
I've
hey.
seen him up and down the street.
So, and driving through, Trustee Wilson always talks about when he goes on patrol. But when I go on patrol, aka I'm just driving my children around to their various things, I don't see a ton of leaves out. So it looks good. If there's complaints, please let us know. Email the village, email us, text us, send smoke signals, but let us know rather than getting frustrated with the process.
Right. And the mayor did mention it last night. Please only rake them to the street, not into the street. And please do not park on top of a pile of leaves. That happened last year, and
that's annoying.
We lost a car.
That's annoying.
Yeah, not we personally, just somebody in the community. Yeah. Okay, so then Trustee reports. We heard from Fenton Brewing. So there was a plat of vacation regarding a public alley. So we were
That's my
vacating
favorite
that
phrase in municipal government.
plat of vacation.
Because it sounds like you're going on a trip, but it's
Right?
not.
It's not. We're just giving up what essentially is a municipal alleyway that was not used as
Right.
such. It was just some land that was next to the water building as an alley.
Yeah.
So that's going to Fenton Brewing as part of their plan. And
But then they revealed their plan,
yeah,
and it is sick.
it's a pretty cool looking building. I like their color scheme. It's
I do too.
A black and a white, and
It will look awesome down there.
Yeah.
It's really cool. And I commented on this last night, but maybe I lied and it wasn't 2 meetings in a row, but 2 out of the last 3 meetings we've had young entrepreneurs start a business here, and like you can see like the glint in their eye of like they're achieving their dreams, and
Right.
it's the coolest thing to watch.
Yep.
So
yeah, this
it was
is
awesome.
going to be pretty neat, and the family was there to show support along with the designers from the
Yeah.
Hesner Group, and
Just
it was pretty cool.
makes me really happy.
Yeah. Public Works, we did the 2025 Joint Resurfacing Design Agreement, and
Maybe you could like link to that page like here. Is that fancy? Do I just make shit up that I think you can do?
yeah, pretty much.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
I think Eric could link to the streets that are getting resurfaced right here.
Uh,
It's not gonna happen, but I think it'd be cool.
Barnhill.
And-
That's that neighborhood that kind of is a circle there off of
Kind of like the
176.
back of Tullamore.
Yep, the back behind Tullamore there, and that neighborhood, some of the cul-de-sacs off of Barnhill. That's the street, right?
Yes,
Barnhill.
yes,
Yep.
yes.
And then that's the neighborhood that's going to get that this coming year.
Yeah.
And then water phase 2 PLC controller upgrades, fancy stuff, but basically the water controllers that we use are reaching the end of their life. Are old. Yes, that's another way to put it. So they need to be replaced, and we're moving on with that. So that's $44,500.
And that's just a drop in the bucket.
Correct.
No pun intended.
Oh, but I'm bumped, right? And then we did the property tax levy estimate. So we have to pass this as a motion. It gets publicly posted for 20 days, and it comes back to the village board for final approval. So that
December 9th.
amount, was $16,787,021. And then the governing body bill approval was $1,210,476.34. And then there was 3 AT&T bills totaling about $8,000. Under public safety,
We had nothing. I mean, that's not true.
that's not true at all.
There was a lot of updates about cool stuff that the police department is doing.
They have drive after drive.
Drive
right
after
now.
drive after drive. So there's a veterans coat drive that goes till 11:15. I had to check dates. So we have
Correct.
3 more days to do that. If Eric gets us out today, maybe 2 more days. And then a after school coalition turkey dinner drive. So boxed canned goods can be dropped off in the lobby of the police department.
Yep.
And then the third one is the Toys for Tots drive, which police and fire do. So if you have new toys, they can be dropped off either at the lobby of the fire department, Station 1, or the police department.
Perfect.
Eh,
And-
oh,
I was waiting for it. Come on.
yeah. The fire department got a award from Vitalant that Mundelein was the best community for blood drives, had the most participation and the most, I guess, blood collected. That sounds weird, but
It does.
only second, I think, or second or first.
First was
Great Lakes,
Great
which
Lakes,
you can't really compare because
which it
they're
was-
probably obligated to
Trustee
do those
Wilson
things.
said it's a captive audience.
Yeah.
It very much is.
Yeah, so
But
that's
as
probably
far
different.
as local and municipal governments go, we're the top producer of blood.
weird
I
to
mean,
say.
it does sound weird
But
to say, but it's
really
also
a testament to community participation, though.
correct. And
cool.
that's exactly what the chief was saying, that it's not the fire department. The fire department creates a space and sets it up, but it's the people that show up and actually donate that make it
So good job
successful.
with the good veins.
Right.
All right.
And that was it. We did the Cyber Clan purchase order for $61,000, and then Zoll medical purchase. So billing for medical stuff for
Every
about
3 years
$29,000.
for
Yep.
those defibrillators. Thank God we have them.
Yep. And then we went into executive session to
Minutes.
and land acquisition or sale of property, and we did that for
A while.
a while.
But
Yeah.
no action afterwards, so that's
Correct.
maybe action at a future board meeting. I don't know.
Yeah. All right. Well, that was it. Thanks for watching,
If you have questions,
Yeah,
let us know.
let us know. Our contact information is on the Village website.
He's gonna put it right here, just like
I
the
could.
streets. I don't know if he can. Just make that up.
Exactly. That's how it goes.
All
Yeah,
right.
you wave your hand and the magic happens.
Okay, we're done now.
All right. Thanks for watching. We'll see you the next episode. Bye.
Have a good day.